Good to go.
All right, and here we are with the five old fogies are angry. It's just me and Jack today. So I am Desperado
Yeah, I
Sensei.
mean, a day after day and a half after Thanksgiving, I'm surprised we're here.
Hey, well, I mean, you celebrate it. I don't.
I have a family who is decidedly far less left than I am. If I had my way, I would celebrate fucking Happy Genocide Day. They wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nah.
fucking kid, like when I like one of the first years I was with my wife and like doing the Thanksgiving thing with her family. I did a brie and raspberry tart, like
Yep.
brie wrapped in dough with fucking raspberries cut up and like basically cut the brie in half, sandwich the raspberries in it. One of those basic things that any motherfucking basic bitch could learn on fucking Food Network.
Mm-hmm.
I shit you not, my soon to be future stepdaughter said, "This is an American holiday." You have no idea how, how much effort it took to shut my fucking mouth and go, "Yeah, an American holiday of fucking genocide. I think we could take a little bit of fucking culinary institute for fucking French people."
I'm trying to. I'm
That
trying
being
to.
said,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I
God,
actually had turkey. I want to say the last time I actually had turkey was in 2019, and we had gone to what is it, the Renaissance Festival for one day before we had to get on like a plane to come back to Japan.
well, I mean, the thing is I'm not one of those turkeys only on Thanksgiving thing. I like turkey if it's made right.
Yeah,
The problem is 99.9% of people who make that shit on fucking Thanksgiving. Hey, let's deep fry it. Hey, let's this. Hey, let's that. It's because it's a fucking holiday event to them. It's not a cooking thing to them.
yeah,
Cooking is secondary, and there's salty enough and spicy enough. They'll fucking eat anything. So like, like I get it, and I get why in Japan where you are roughly 1,900 miles from the closest wild turkey flock, because you'd have to go over into Central Asia to get some of the Asian turkeys.
oh come on,
Um,
we can get a frozen butterball at Costco.
yeah, and how much does that bitch cost?
I don't know, firstborn, possibly first and
Yeah, I was about
secondborn.
to say, wait a minute, wait a minute. Specialty meat, because that's what this would be.
Yeah.
This would be a specialty meat in Japan. For those of you guys who don't understand this, pretty much anywhere you go that it isn't something that somebody eats on a weekly basis, it's specialty meat. That could be pork, that could be beef, that could be any of the normal stuff that you're used to can become a specialty meat depending on where you are in the world very quickly. And in Japan, they don't eat a whole lot of land fowl. They eat waterfowl, they don't eat a whole lot of land fowl. And
Chick
that's mainly because they don't have a whole lot of land fowl.
chicken. I mean, they do eat a lot of chicken.
Yeah, yeah, but that's because we imported that shit to you when we fucking bombed the living bejesus out of you and then started putting military bases
Well,
everywhere.
yeah, but I mean, they used to eat pheasant, but they kind of hunted them to the point where
Hunt them into extinction. Yeah,
not
you have to
not
go to the Korean
extinction.
Peninsula to hunt them anymore.
They're not necessarily endangered. They're hurting, but they're not endangered.
Well, here's the thing: they're not endangered or threatened at all. Just not very common to find them anywhere on Japan anymore. They have all since stopped going to those ancestral nesting grounds and stick to the Korean Peninsula where there is a thriving population.
Yeah.
Because now here's the thing: because when you told me that they didn't let you guys hunt with bows, it just dumbfounded me.
Yeah.
Because bow culture is such a big part of Japanese life, even to this day, to the point where you guys have national competition petitions for that fucking you fucking long weird longbow thing that you guys use.
It's called Kudo.
So whatever. But my point was, you guys, it's such a prevalent portion of your culture. This would be like outlawing bow hunting in England. It just didn't compute. I figured out it's because you hunted all of your quail and pheasant and fucking doves to fucking near extinction is why it was outlawed. And it was outlawed in the 70s because it was one of the few things that didn't require a small games license.
Yeah.
So this was, instead of putting a small games license in, like a reasonable country, you guys just outlawed it.
Right. But
like,
but it wasn't
and then
until
you restricted all hunting.
but it wasn't until 2022 that they finally outlawed crossbows.
Well, yeah, your country was never known for crossbows. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? That was probably just some fucking otaku kid who was fucking half Americanophile.
Probably.
Who fucking saw some jackass fucking MacGyver episode or something. It was like, ooh, crossbow. Like, you fucking kidding me? You fuckers had better than crossbows. You didn't need crossbows.
All right.
Like, and for those of you who don't understand, we have gone off on a tangent, and I will go and finish this quickly. The Japanese blowgun is second only to the ones that we found in the Amazon, to the point where we have seen blowgun particular shaped hardened steel darts penetrate like hardened European armor from a blowgun.
Yeah.
That was a motherfucker with some lungs. You guys didn't need a bowstring. You had lungs. You skipped that step. But go on. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get started. We got some stuff that's near and dear to the both of us here. I grew up on a farm, so we're gonna be talking about Arkansas and the Arkansas soybean crisis that's going on right now.
Crisis, fucking goddamn devastation, utter fucking end of day situation for most people. It's fucking insane, man.
And here's the thing: like, we're focusing on Arkansas with this piece here, but this isn't just Arkansas. We're talking Iowa, we're talking Wisconsin, Minnesota, like the full grain belt itself, or even places out as far as like Ohio. And Pennsylvania?
I mean, a few of these aren't getting hit by this particular issue because they don't do as much soy, but it's fucking everybody.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to keep in mind is that we're talking about soy right now, and some of these farmers here, like they purposely go for soy, but soy tends to be the rotation crop used for a lot of other like grass based crops as well. So if you're going to be running corn,
but a rotation crop that you can turn into very effective fertilizer is just as valuable to you like soy.
Yeah.
In that situation, as opposed to the actual soy farmers who rely on quite literally that harvest for their living.
Correct.
Because all you just did was save yourself a fucking cycle of nitrogen because you're going to grind up all those soybeans and put it right back into the ground.
Right.
Like, you just saved yourself a little bit of money on next season.
Right.
So like, there's a little bit to that. And the reason I'm bringing this up for context is because just about every fucking creator I have seen cover this content, just about every major news broadcast, they only ever focus on the percentage drop of how much soy we're not selling.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but for some people, and it's about 12% of people who soy farm, because those are the rotational crops you're talking about.
Correct.
Those 12% aren't even going to notice this because literally this is just saving them on their fertilizer next year or for next season.
Yep.
But the other fucking 88% are getting absolutely freaking done up the butt with no loot. This is we have seen a 60% increases in bankruptcies in my state of Arkansas, and we have seen a 400% increase in specifically farmer suicides. That is an overall trend of we're up 1.5 times, so 150% normal totals of suicides in general.
Yep.
I can't tell you if that full uptick has been all farmers, just because of the way my state does numbers. It's fucking garbage. But if that is, that will put us at roughly a 21% loss of farmers at this point in time. If that is all farmers that have increased that uptick.
Yeah.
Now, I can't tell if that's the actual number because, as I said, my state's garbage, but it could be as bad as 21% of farmers have taken their own life over this.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, in all honesty, the numbers, and I had actually talked about this before in a video that I was when the tariffs initially came out for what they were doing with like the blanket tariffs across the board and how it was affecting farmers. I said that suicides would go up because that's normally what happens when there's an economic downturn like this. But I have a feeling it's going to get a lot worse.
Well, yeah, because we don't protect our farmers.
Correct.
I mean, that's part of it.
But the other thing is that I have a feeling we're going to see Dust Bowl levels of suicides.
I don't think we're going to get to that for multiple reasons, which we'll get into as we go on through the episode.
Right.
But I'm not saying it's not going to get worse. It is. I'm saying I don't think it's going to get quite to that level, and there's a few reasons behind that. Mainly because, unfortunately, the answer's not great, but it would prevent the Dust Bowl levels of agricultural desolation that you're fearing.
Yeah.
Now, it's still not good. It's still like, even if we get through it in the way that I'm thinking, it's not a good thing. It's just we're not actually going to be seeing like literal fucking states worth of fucking land turn to dust because nobody could fucking farm it anymore. I don't think it's gonna get that.
Yeah. Well, no.
Reason for this, and I will allude to it quickly before you go on to your point. Corporate farmers are gonna buy it all up.
Oh no,
I
was going to say that, but what I was trying to get at is that the suicide rate is going to match that of the Dust Bowl is what I was getting at.
It could, but I don't think so. And the reason is because of those corporate farm infrastructure existing now. At least from what I'm seeing currently, these farm properties are not losing value. Now they're losing profit, 100%.
Yeah.
But they aren't actually losing value when you like look up their actual like land value, equipment value, all that shit. These the suicide rate isn't going to be as high because we do not have as many intergenerational farmers as we did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And we have far more farmers at the tail end of that intergenerational line who will opt out for the big payday and just sell it off to the corporates. Still not good for us. I just think it's going to mitigate some of the worst things like the suicides. It's going to fuck us on food production, infrastructure, and a bunch of other shit. But I think that one's going to be lower because we're going to just see more people do the opt out and buyouts, and they're not going to commit suicide over it because we don't have as many. I mean, when the Dust Bowl happened, we were at 33% intergenerational farming, and when I say 33%, that's 33% of all Americans, not 33% of the farming industry.
Yeah.
Now it's 4%. I just don't think there's enough of them to do it as well.
Right. Well, then we could say that the rate, I guess, would be similar.
That one might be accurate. I did, but again, I don't know with the buyouts because without that intergenerational, we are farmers. My grandfather's 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 grandfather was a farmer. I don't know if you have that same emotional interconnectedness that leads to it. I mean, yeah, you still have the, oh, I'm a failure, blah, 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 normal human psyche shit, but you don't have that extra added legacy bullshit that they did back then.
Mm, I all I'm gonna say is that the people that are farming in like the non-corporate farms as they are right now, the only people left doing it are those that have been doing it for generations and generations.
No,
So
no, I know, but that's 8% of the market now.
I
Eight
get
percent of the
that.
market, not 8% of America. And that's all I was. That's why I think it will. The suicide rate. We'll see bankruptcy rates actually worse than the Dust Bowl, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We just won't see the suicide rate
Mm,
because people will just flee.
well, it maybe
Whereas during the Dust Bowl, there was nowhere to flee to.
I get that. I get that. I'm just saying that what is it when it comes to farmers and having an emotional attachment to a piece of land that your family has had for 200 plus years, and you are the person that becomes its downfall, that is a lot of emotional stress and pain you're putting on an individual person. And if they
Oh,
don't
100%.
and if they don't do it directly after finding out, their health is going to basically deteriorate from that point to the point where I don't know if you want to call it, you might not necessarily call it a suicide, but
And I get what you're saying. Like I said, I just think that particular portion will be mitigated just because of the size of that particular portion of the market anymore, and the fact that we don't do the legacy thing in the same way we used to. Now, don't get me wrong. Most farm states are red states, and therefore they are the ones that do it more than not.
mm-hmm.
But even in them, we're seeing that this push away from that legacy type mentality to this, and you know how much I hate this, so this is not something I like admitting, to the rugged individualism bullshit to the point where they're like, I'll make it on my own, fuck that farm. I'll go do that. But it's that kind of fucking delusion that they have now that will protect them, and it is a delusion.
Yeah.
Let's not. This is not me going like, oh my God, American exceptional. No, 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 no. We lost that idea a long fucking time ago when we stopped actually caring about our education system. We can no longer claim American. That's not what I'm saying here. I just
So
think they're so delusional.
so
They will avoid the proverbial hangman because they will instead chase the snake oil salesman.
yeah. All right. Well, you and
Like I
I,
said, not a good outcome.
yeah,
Like I
you,
said, not this is my outcome is still shitty. This is for
yeah,
those in the audience who are not putting two and two together. Both of our outcomes are dystopian as fuck.
you're
It's
right.
just one ends in a few less deaths than the other. This is not a good thing for farmers, and we're laughing about it because, like, honestly, I've had to pray over too many coffins in the last year. I don't like what's happening, and it's laugh or cry. It's really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And for those of you in the audience who don't know this, I'm a volunteer chaplain at my local hospital. So, yeah, just let that sink in. Yeah, the commie fucking douchebag in middle of fucking Bible Belt America is a fucking volunteer chaplain at a hospital. Yeah, let that explode your brains.
All right, we'll start the video here and
Yes,
see
sir.
what's going on with this. I think this is the more perfect union one.
Ah, okay, they're usually pretty good.
Just say
Oh,
I
I
was at
wish
all
mine could better.
soybeans and
By
$150
the
an
way,
acre
you're
loss.
not sharing
You're
it in
looking at
Discord.
$450,000.
What was that?
Ugh. You're not sharing it in Discord.
Oh,
The video is not playing in here. You're playing it in OBS.
do I need to share it there?
Share screen. I can't hear it.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
If you're worried about showing the video twice because you have OBS set up, when you do this, right click on the video in Discord and just put disable video. Then it will only show up once for you, but I'll be able to see and hear it.
Okay, and then just hit disable video.
Right click. It should, yeah, and it should play for me and not for you, so you don't have to hear it twice. This is how I do it when I'm producing for Dante. When we switch to FOFA in the morning.
Hold on just a second here.
Oh, hi, my Barbie. Hi, sweet girl. We have it's not just us. We have another co-host who's trying to eat the microphone.
Where is this at? I literally
just
right
it
click.
should just be right click unless they removed it.
Okay, so I have what is it?
They did remove it. Yeah, they removed it. It's not there anymore. Shit. Is there more options? No, it's not in more options either.
I'll just turn the sound down on my end, like with this here, if I can. Or is that?
Yeah. You shouldn't hear it play at all. I was making sure OBS wasn't picking it up, but they removed it, so I haven't. Why the fuck is Discord removing shit? Okay, sorry. Small technical difficulties because Discord's a bitch.
All right, here we go.
A loss for just doing my job. I'm paying an additional $450,000 instead of making anything. I've never seen a crisis like this. Without intervention, we're talking about generational loss of farmers.
In the last year, farm bankruptcies here in Arkansas have nearly doubled. The story in the media is that's because of Trump's trade war with China. And now that China has agreed to a deal, the crisis will pass. But that story is wrong.
The tariffs are a problem, but think of it as being in a coffin, and we're going to nail the lid shut. The tariffs are the final nail.
This crisis was here before he did the tariff thing. This is a crisis that's been building for decades.
Farmers here told us a bigger story.
And I'm going to stop it there because if you notice, which was the last president that they showed out of the continuing presidents there?
Well, the last one they showed was Obama, but this started before him.
No, the last one they showed was Clinton.
And it starts before him. This starts all the way back in Reagan. You and I both know that.
I know.
I know why we're pointing to Clinton. I know why.
Yes, they're pointing to Clinton because of NAFTA. If we're talking about the other major cause of what is it, farmer suicides, we can talk about Reagan's first year in office, in which he closed, or made risk analysis higher for farmers in order to get loans, basically driving a whole bunch of farmers out of the market because they could no longer get loans.
And on top of that, regulating farmers banks out of fucking, planter and seed banks out.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of shit all at once.
To put things into perspective, the president before him, Jimmy Carter, under his administration, only 2 agricultural banks failed throughout his four years in office. During Reagan's first term, not both terms, just his first term, 62
during
banks.
His first 2 years.
Yeah.
During his first term, the number stays the same. But this all happened in the first 2 years for the audience.
Yeah, this is 62 agricultural banks went under. And if you don't understand why agricultural
then we
banks are
started bailing them out.
Yeah, and if you don't understand why agricultural banks are so important, that's basically how farmers pay for everything before they put their crop in.
Which you and I both know is about the dumbest fucking system that we could have, but we don't have another one, and until we have another one, you can't fuck up the system we have.
Yeah, because
I hate the way that we do this because it's essentially forcing our farmers to operate on spec. and operating on spec is absolutely fucking innocuous, not only to their personal growth, but it is incongruent with the way our food supply should function, because we are essentially putting the people at the most fundamental portion of the food production chain at the greatest risk.
And a lot of
And
this,
it's fucking stupid.
and the majority,
But until we change it, you can't fuck it.
and the majority of this goes to basically how we protect the what is it, the seed companies, the companies that do all the seeding. This entire process is designed to protect them, because if they can't price gouge you for the price of seed to put in the ground, then you know it's not American enough.
And I would like to point out that this is not a conspiracy theory, but we can go to Bayer, the people who make fucking aspirin, who bought Monsanto and decided that Monsanto was too evil of a name to Bayer. And if you knew Bayer's history, you'd know how fucked up that is. Good.
Just last month, Bayer released a new soybean seed to go to Brazil for Brazilian soybean farmers, specifically for them.
It doesn't surprise me. Let's just put it this way: this goes so far back. If we actually date the real people to blame, this predates even my old ass.
Yeah.
This goes all the way back to when the Rockefellers, the Bayers, and a few other very, very influential fucking families were basically carving up the American industrial complex as it later became known, back in the 10s and 20s, 1910s and 1920s, 100 years ago. No, that's not me going, oh, it's some grand global. No, it's just a lot of fucking rich people fighting with each other that fucking, bought up a bunch of shit. It's not a conspiracy. It's just garbage that happened.
Yeah.
Get that crap out of your head. I'm not going fucking tinfoil hat on you. I'm just pointing out this shit dates back a long fucking time, and we have been fucking over farmers for a long time.
The thing is that NAFTA was really a major screwing point for farmers, and no president in modern history, from Clinton when it was signed, basically never lifted a finger. There were bailouts, but they basically never lifted.
Clinton did try to do something, and then his party basically fucking kicked him in the nuts over it, and then nobody else ever did. But that's a small caveat in history, because it was only tried once. And it was very early on.
Yeah. So this is something that has basically been screwing them over in modern history since NAFTA in 1995. 94,
I don't
95?
think it actually started fucking them in 95, but
no. I'm saying
I think it finally started hitting them in 96, but yeah, 95 is what it was.
Yeah. I was talking about when the legislation was signed.
Yeah, and like I said, technically the fucking didn't happen for like 6 months after the signing, but close enough for government.
The other thing to keep in mind is before 1995, the United States actually had a pretty robust domestic usage, like storage usage, like the domestic infrastructure necessary for like corn, soybeans, all your major crops. When NAFTA came along, that basically,
to a point, yeah.
Yeah, what I'm saying is when NAFTA came along, NAFTA basically shifted the entire farming infrastructure to move entirely to international markets. Like, there was no longer that domestic infrastructure. That domestic infrastructure basically rotted away over the next 10 plus years or so. right until like right after 2000, because everything was being pushed towards an international market. So anything that was
Okay,
designed to
yes
remain,
and no. Yeah, I'll do a minor pushback on this one because this is where I actually have to blame a certain percentage of farmers because it wasn't a push towards internationalization in the way that a lot of us talk about it today because of the anti-globalist crap. Um, it was the money was too good to pass up.
yeah,
They were selling because the money was just too good to pass up,
yep,
and that's really what it came down to. Um, and that led to the more globalized food web that we now have that is currently being fucked up by the current regime. But we now require that modern food web, and there's multiple reasons for that beyond the cultural like influx of people. Therefore, accommodating a demand for those food products and food staples. Um, but also because we have discovered that the American diet pre this globalization was literally killing us.
yeah,
Our diet since this globalized effort has even in the food like we did that whole fucking thing on food deserts for your fucking series. Even those people have a better standard of nutrition than we did prior to this globalization. So, like, it's not a bad thing to think globally and internationally. It
no,
was a bad thing to do it for a profit motive without a infrastructure substructure.
right,
Like
because
because that's the part we did we untied them from one another.
yeah. So what basically happened is there was a domestic infrastructure in place. It wasn't necessarily like the best. It wasn't like number one in the world, but it was still utilizable in a
It was actually pretty good. We were
yeah,
number 8 in the world. It
yeah,
was pretty good.
but it was still utilize it still had utility. Let's put it that way. Um,
Yes.
Once this international push kicked off, that dwindled because there was basically nobody that was putting anything into the domestic market at that point, which basically killed off that entire what is it sector, and then farmers were only able to rely on international markets, and what ended up screwing them over because of that is all the not the logistics, but the actual like the selling companies that are selling across like overseas or whatnot can now buy the seed
The
from the
logistics
farmers.
company. So you had the right word.
Yeah, the logistic companies are now able just to buy the seed from farmers at like ridiculously low prices. Like ridiculously low prices. To the point where it's
Oh,
almost
100%.
yeah, to the point where it's like imagine working a job where you have to put in like 60, 80-hour days, and at the end of the year you're lucky to break what is it, like 40K, and that's provided you didn't have any malfunctions or any things that needed to be fixed or repaired on any of your vehicles.
Well, okay, and there's this, and this is where I'm going to, again, to a minor degree, attack American farmers on this. And you're going to know the exact fucking ass bags I'm talking about once I explain this part. That was because a lot of this logistics refused, outright refused to carry Asian products into the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And because and I'm not going to use the word, but the G slur for fucking all Asian people, We're not going to use that Geisler food, here in America. Only them stupid fucking liberals in New York City eat that stupid Chinese food crap. Blah 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 blah, and they screwed themselves. These are the people who sold out. These are the people who sold out to the corporate farms rather than anybody else, and the corporate farms had no problem carrying this shit in.
Yep.
And that's why we have the food web that I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, where now Americans have a greater nutritional rate than we did in the past, even though technically we eat more garbage than we did in the past. We technically still get better nutrition as well. We just eat a bunch of other bad shit.
All right, let's keep going.
A handful of companies have built a global system in which they always win, and American farmers are lucky to break even, all supported by our tax dollars.
They're just laundering tax money. None of it stays in the local community.
And while our farmers are dependent on growing crops for countries like China, we import more of our food than ever.
The bigger story is we're very vulnerable to the whims of other countries.
With thousands of farmers on the brink, we wanted to know, how did this happen? And if a deal with China won't save American farmers, what will?
We watch the markets every morning at 5:45. I get up and listen to Standard Grain. And Joe says it's 5:45 in the morning and the markets are.
Scott Brown is a row crop farmer who grows corn, rice, and soybeans.
I want to know what the price of soybeans is, how much we've exported this week.
The price of soybeans hit a high of $17 a bushel 3 years ago, but this year it's down to $10. That means many.
All right, so $17 a bushel to $10 a bushel. So,
well, yeah, but you know this as a farmer. You do not plan for the peak to hold. You cannot do that, or you fuck yourselves.
Yeah,
it's just the reality of it.
Yeah, but
you have to plan for what the average is. And if you spend like the peak and the average comes in or below average comes in, that's you fucking yourself because you plan for the best case scenario.
Yeah. The other thing is that like when you plan for things like this, you can store grain and you can keep it in like in storage bins and whatnot, but you can only keep it in there for so long. So before,
I mean, there is technically super long-term storage, but for those of you in the audience who don't know this, it's very expensive.
Yeah,
we only do it for food reserves. We do. Yeah, I'm explaining for the audience because some jackass right winger is going to bring this shit up.
Right.
You can only store soybeans, even in this extreme long-term storage, for about 6 years.
Yeah.
And at that 6 years, it's going to cost 18 times per month what it would cost to store in normal grain storage.
Yeah.
It is not cheap. It is extremely that's why we only do it for emergency food reserves.
Which is why I was basically saying is that when your average farmer is going to store grain in bins to try and sell at an opportune time when the price is high enough, you can only hold it there for so long before it goes bad.
What, 6 months without it, if I remember correctly?
That's pushing it.
I'd have to look. It's because it's different for every grain.
Yeah.
I just know it's different for every grain. So I just.
All right, we'll keep it going.
Many farmers will operate at a loss, but not just for soybeans.
So for cotton, soy, corn, and rice, the average loss per acre is $150 to $350 per acre.
Jeez.
Adam Chappell farms 2,400 acres about 2 hours from Scott. In September, Adam and Scott attended a meeting called for farmers to speak to their federal representatives.
Hundreds of farmers from across the state came to voice their concerns about the current state of farming.
It was a three-day notice on this meeting. We went from having 15 to 20 people to over 500.
We were in the start of harvest. For 500 farmers to get off the combines and go stand in a meeting is a big deal.
It was like a funeral in there. this is generations of farms.
All right. There's one small thing that I want to point out with this is that he was saying that you had to get 500 farmers off their combines to come to this meeting. If you know
Well, it's 3 days notice.
Yeah, on 3 days notice. But here's the thing. If you know literally nothing about farming, the two most important times is planting and harvest. And usually harvest is the one where nobody leaves the field ever.
I mean, there's that to a point, but more my point is you can plan for a day of rest in the field. You can plan for that, but you can't plan for it on 72 hours. No, even on harvesting because of
not
weather
with
and stuff like that.
soybeans.
My point,
not with soybeans.
well, yeah, you could because you should start the harvest a few days early or a day early, etc.
So
to accommodate. It's let me finish my sentence, and I think you might agree with me. You can't plan for this on 72 hours notice. You need at least a month's notice because you have to plan logistically for an entire day off that far in advance. You cannot do it any shorter than that on a farm.
So basically what happens is that when it gets really close to time for harvest, farmers have to go out and basically check the moisture level of the crop that they're going to be pulling out of there, whether it be soybeans, whether it be corn, whether it be rice, sorghum.
They break out their little grinder
Yeah.
hydrometer and go out and grab random things around the field,
Right.
etc.
But here's the thing, and this is what makes soybeans different from a lot of other crops, is that when soybeans get too dry, that little the pod that holds them in there will pop open and they'll fall out.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing
that's why I said you have to go early, not late. That was my point.
But here's the other thing. If you go too early, you're going to get grain that has too much hydration in it, and you want to get it within that sweet spot so that when you go to put it in your bins, you put that grain in your bins, you can actually hold it for a longer storage period because of getting that perfect moisture level with it.
Well, yeah, and this is, and you're 100% right. What I'm pointing out is, you can go as much as a day early. You can't really go more than that because otherwise you're running into the problem that you're talking about.
Right.
And that's why I said you need a month's advance because you have to prepare for this.
Right.
You have to hope that the weather doesn't fuck you. Because a couple of good days of rain in the middle of fucking this month, and you're fucked, and it's gonna be now your entire planning's thrown off.
Right.
Like there's a lot that goes into this. 72 hours notice. They're lucky that they were able to fill this small ass auditorium. They were absolutely fucking lucky.
No, this is packed. This is 500 farmers in the local area that packed this thing during harvest.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Soybeans.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They were lucky to be able to. This is a small auditorium. That's what I mean. They were lucky to be able to pack this because most of these people, this is actually costing them money.
Yeah.
And potentially costing them business.
Yeah.
Because they don't get their soybeans to fucking market soon. Yeah. Like this is not a small thing.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that corn and rice tend to be a little bit different than soybeans. Soybeans are extremely temperamental when it comes to harvest.
Yeah. That's soy, wheat, and barley are the ones that you have like what is it? For wheat, it's 10.8 to 11.5. For soy, if I remember correctly, it's 9.8 to 10.8, and for barley, it's 8.8 to 9.6. Like you have very narrow windows for them.
Right.
This is hydrometer shit. For those of you in the audience, I'm sorry, I just nerded out on farm shit. You don't need to know this. If you want to know about this, go watch Clarkson's Farm. They do an episode on it. You get to watch a British dumbass be funny about it.
Right.
You do not need to know this. It is unless you're a farmer, and if you're a farmer, you know it better than either one of us.
Right. And this is why I just use the term the sweet spot instead of actually giving the numbers.
Yeah.
So Anyway,
Yeah,
let's.
it's just but my point is that, to the audience, because you and I understand this, and unfortunately, you and I are a little bit more stoic than the average person would be in this situation. This would be like going to like Fashion Week in New York and being able to pull enough models to fill a room this size. Not
Yeah.
because they're there, but because they're not busy. Bullshit. If you've ever been to fucking Fashion Week in New York, those models have zero fucking time off. They are literally working every fucking moment they're fucking awake in that city, because that is what that week is all about. And that's what this is like.
Hey, you know something? Half the time, my father would be during harvest, would go and he would harvest. What is it? He'd get us up early in the morning to do initial harvest prep, like super early at 5 o'clock. Then we'd get on the bus. We'd go to school, and the second the last bell rang, he was at the school to pick us up so we didn't ride the bus to go back home to continue to do harvest for the rest of the day. And if he got lucky to do it on a weekend, it would be 16-hour days. I saw my dad pull a 20 once, just because there was no time.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't understand, they are driving on the low end if they have a shitty combine, $250,000 vehicle.
Yep.
On these 20-hour days.
Yep.
And that's on the low end. That's a used one.
Yep.
If you're buying brand new, $500,000 easy.
Try closer to $1 million.
Well, no, I understand. That's why I said $500,000 easy. That's, you're buying the bargain basement, can barely fucking do the job version.
No. If you're buying new, you're spending $1 million because of how
secondary insurance and all that.
Not only that, is everything's all GPS, it's all like GPS put inside of it. If you go through, let's just say, it doesn't matter if you go through like Case International. It doesn't matter if you go through John Deere. It doesn't matter which like farming supplier you're going to go through.
Yeah, they all fucked us.
Yeah, they basically did what
Deere did back in the 90s.
No. What I'm gonna say is that they basically changed their entire model for how they work with farmers to the Apple model, with how Apple deals with phones.
Then yeah, we are talking about the same thing. The built-in obsolescence that John Deere started doing in the late 90s. It's the same argument. It only functions for so long before you have to get a new one, because they basically built in a phone.
No, that's not what I'm getting at. With this here, this here is if anything breaks or anything malfunctions, any minor thing malfunctions on that tractor or on that combine that requires repair, you actually have to take it to your actual
the other side of the same.
Right.
Yeah, the other side of the same legislation, the right to repair portion.
Right.
I didn't think about that portion.
No,
but yeah.
So the thing is because of how they structured this system, John Deere and the other major, like farming suppliers,
there's a few of them.
They no longer have tractors that you can actually repair yourself, like with things where you can do even like basic stuff, even like basic tire changing and stuff. They've basically made it so that the tractor will not function if you touch it in any way that the supplier deems
I didn't think about
unnecessary
that part, because
they chalk these things
I didn't
full.
think about that part of the legislation.
They chalk these things full with as much electronics and anything that they can throw in there just to jack the price up even higher.
Well, yeah, and I didn't think about that side of it, because what I was thinking of was John Deere during the same legislation push that gave the right to repair issue to farmers. Um, is where John Deere started building in remember the scandal about their engine timers, their engine
Yeah.
clocks, where after a certain number of hours it would literally start to fucking cause the throttle body to start malfunctioning
Yep.
because it's the same legislation that let them do that did the right to repair shit. I focused on, hey, they're planning on fucking us, and you focused on they're already fucking us.
Right.
We focused on the same bill, but they
Right.
two different sides of it.
So if you look at it, if you look at it kind of like how they deal with cars now, yeah, it's basically impossible to find a car now that has windows that you can manually roll down. It's impossible to find a car now where the inside and like
It's not impossible, but you have to pay extra for it. It's fucking wild.
Yeah.
It costs more to have hand cranked windows than to have motorized windows. It blows my fucking mind.
And the thing is that the reason why that they don't do this anymore is because adding all these little minor tiny features that is quote unquote standard in that car allows them to jack up the price even higher and higher and higher. And it's exactly the same thing that they've done with all the farm supply.
To a point, yes. On the farming supplies, I'm not disagreeing at all. Now, here's the thing. I will, on the car side, I will actually defend the car company slightly. Because here's the reality. If all of your cars are electric motor versus, 50-50 electric hand crank, putting in those hand cranks is more expensive because you don't have the machine set up for it because of the way everything's, etc. It is cheaper to keep things as standardized as possible. That being said, it should not cost me more to take something out of my car, you assholes.
Right. Right. So,
like, I can understand charging me more for an added extra, but if I'm literally saying, no, just don't put this in. You know what? I don't even want the window to crank down. Just don't even put a window crank in. Just weld that bitch in place. You should not charge me more. I am saving you money.
Right. Yeah. No,
but yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That's a principle thing.
But my main thing with this is basically they're taking the most vulnerable people and basically pricing it so high that they basically can't really function inside the job they're doing without just making like literal half pennies on the dollar.
No, and here's the thing. I agree with you, but I hate just because of the way you worded this, I have to defend the co. They're not trying to fuck over the most vulnerable people. They are catering to their number one market now, which is corporate farmers. It just happens to be that what corporate farmers want and what mom and pop farmers need are diametrically opposed, and it just happens to fuck. It's just a happy accident that it's fucking you to these people as opposed to intentional is how I read it, because the corporate farmers want to be able to link all this shit into their fucking GPS where corporate in fucking bumfuck nowhere, nowhere near a fucking farm plot, wherever the fuck it is, can monitor what's going on their corporate subsidy farms. They want all that extra shit, whereas mom and pop farmers don't want that shit because it makes their life fuzzy.
Right, but you could also make the argument that they're building it this way so that they can price the mom and pops out of the market so that the corporates can come and take that land so that they can get more contracts through the corporations to sell them the same tractors anyway.
I know, but remember how I try to think. As much as I know we have a bunch of corporate ghoul dickbags who would do exactly that intentionally, it is also just as likely that they don't think about the mom and pop farmer at all, and they cater to the people who are giving them money.
I would say that if
they could just be evil through neglect.
All I'm going to say is that if you put in a right to repair law into something like that, knowing because your entire model is what is it, like farmer supply, like tractor supply and farmer supply, and knowing for generations how farmers have done it, and you put a right to repair law in there, you're fucking over farmers purposely.
No, I'm not arguing that it was not an intentionality that they put that in there. Here's what I am arguing, because I think you misunderstood the way I meant this. I'm not saying they're not fucking you over intentionally. I'm saying that their intentionality isn't directed at you. It's when they saw the shift, because at the same time that the right to repair and the built-in obsolescence legislative pushes that we were talking about a few minutes ago were happening, was about the time we had the shift over 51% to corporate farming, remember?
Yeah.
I know you do, because you were living on farms at that time and everybody
Yeah.
lost their fucking minds over it.
Yeah.
Once that happened, supply and demand now dictates those companies now cater to that market. As much as I hate you know, I'm a fucking communist. You know how I feel about capitalism, and this is part of the fucking problem.
Right.
I don't think they were intentionally fucking you over. It just became incidental to do so because now they're catering to a market that you are not a part of. Does that make sense?
I get you, but see, I take it a step further, and I see it as they see this now as the current family farms, like mom and pop farms, are in the way of them making more profits, and that if they get them out of the way, they make even more money.
Oh no, that part I'll get you, but that part I would attribute to the corporate farmers, not the farm supply companies. You see what I'm saying? Because they're the ones doing that to you guys.
I say they're interconnected. That's all I'm going to say, is that they're interconnected.
And here's the thing.
And they're
actually, you may be right. No, but you may be right. I don't know how incestuous those companies have gotten with the farming supply company. They may, for all I know, they're fucking subsidies of each other. It's been a while since I dug into like corporate fucking infrastructure like that. You may be right, but I will at least attribute it's just as easy that they could not be thinking at all and still be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because we see that too, like Nestle with their fucking water extraction. They're not trying to fuck over those communities. They're just trying to make more money. You know, they're not trying to fuck these people out of having groundwater.
Right.
They just want to make more money.
Right. No, but there's a difference. There's a difference here. Nestle pulling the water out of the ground affects everybody in the area, right? But Nestle is not going to make more money from pulling water out of the ground if they force other people around them to leave.
I see what you're trying to say. I just think that was a bad analogy, because that's exactly how they end up making more money with Nestle specifically. Right. But other than that, yes, right. I know what you're trying to say. Right. So that's what they want, because they want more access to more groundwater rights. But that's
right. Well, no, but I mean, like,
you broke up. What was that?
No, like what I'm getting at is that.
No, repeat yourself, because your camera froze for a second and I couldn't hear you.
Okay, so what I meant to say was that I get that, but even if Nestle didn't want a few people around them, they weren't looking at if we get rid of all of these people around us here, then what is it then we can like maximize like we can maximize the amount of money we make from because it's going through the bottling at the same time. The bottles are still going to go to the people, even if it's the people nearby there that are going to buy the bottled water as well too, right? There's still going to be a profit.
And like I said, I knew what you meant, and that's why I was just pointing out. I see what you meant, but because the more land they can get, the more land access to water rights they can get.
No,
they actually want that flight.
No, Because they're tapping the ground.
With them, yes. We've seen this in their corporate record. Yeah, yes. And the more areas that you can put you have a certain cap per acre that you have wells that you can put on when you're extracting groundwater.
Right.
They need the extra acreage for more wells.
Okay.
So that they can do it faster. You see what I'm saying? I know what you're saying, whereas this would be more equivalent to what we saw instead of with them with the groundwater. What you're talking about is more like the corporate herdsmen that pushed out the fucking old school cowboys. I mean, I'm going way back for this one just because the analogy is so perfect for it.
The difference is that Nestle's air focus area for where they want to drill is going to target a smaller section of certain people for that particular land because of the water table that's going to be underneath it. This here is affecting an entire group.
Okay, if you're going by that metric, 100% right. You're right.
This would be the same. The way I'm making this analogy is that instead of like Nestle is trying to destroy an entire hometown in order to make more money.
Yeah, and no, you're right. And this is destroying whole regions of states.
Right.
No, and that is and with that version, you're 100% correct because at that point it's scale, not intentionality.
Right. So in this case here, what I'm saying is John Deere doesn't care. John Deere cares who it hurts because who they hurt might make them more money.
I could see it. And like I said, it would depend on how incestuous these companies have become. Because, fuck, dude, it's been 20 years since I dug into these fucking infrastructures. For all I know, John Deere's owned by fucking Bayer at this point. You know what I mean?
But
like most people don't know that fucking Monsanto is now Bayer.
Yeah.
As an example.
What I'm trying to get at is that if you're looking at a certain amount of acreage that a farmer has, and the farmer that's working that acreage has one tractor and one combine with one disc and one cultivator and one whatever that they're going to be using on the land there. Can I finish? Let me finish. Let me finish my fucking point first. Okay.
Correct my memory.
Okay. What I'm getting at with this is that once they have that single amount of items that they bought, let's just say through John Deere. John Deere knows that if that farmer goes under, that the corporate farm that's going to come in for that same area of land is going to buy 2 tractors and double of everything else. So it's going to increase the number of vehicles that's going to be working that set of land.
Okay, and 2 things. One, the disc question, and the next portion.
Discs are hardly ever used anymore.
Is it actually that rate? Because I've heard the term, I just don't remember what it is, and I was trying to make sure I was understanding you correctly, which is why I asked before you went on. That being said, the other part that I was going to bring up is it that high? Because at least my experience, and my experience is limited, and anecdotes are, like assholes, but when the corporos take over, they have the number of and machines on the fields. They double the number of and just require those people to fucking work to hours.
Yeah.
They work the people to the bone as opposed to work more people.
So yes and no. It really
same number of workers, more hours. Okay. Sorry. Making sure you understood.
It really depends.
Delays catching.
Yeah. It really depends. It depends on what they're growing, and it depends on exactly how many hours can go into that thing, because some of them still have to work with certain like OSHA rules or whatnot. When you're working on your family farm, running 20 hours to do harvest with one vehicle, that's totally normal. That happens like sometimes. There's no way to really do this on a corporate farm without getting in some serious trouble. with an employee.
Okay, I'd have to look into that because if I'm remembering correctly,
I'm
I
s-
could be misremembering because again, it's been years.
All I'm gonna say is that
I was about to say, go ahead. The delay caught us again. Sorry about that.
you're operating extremely heavy, large industrial machinery. I don't think that.
No, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing to do. I'm saying if I'm remembering correctly, there was exemptions put in some of those laws specifically for farms
Yeah.
because of the lobby groups that we talked about earlier. And I think that they're part of that exception. I just don't remember because it's been so long since I read that law. I
Mm-hmm.
think they got exceptions, even the corpo farms, not just the family farms. I think they put that in there because millions of dollars got spent on it. I think they actually achieved it.
Right.
I just don't remember for 100%.
Right. So
Am I misremembering?
no, I
Because you were the farmer.
I think there are certain rules and whatnot. Like farming does have a lot of exceptions and whatnot, but if I remember correctly,
Okay.
it all has to do with like the size of the actual like machinery that you're using.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll dig into it later because this tangent will take us too far off, and
Right.
we've tangented a lot. Even though most of our tangents today have at least been on topic, which is
So
good.
what I'm saying
I'm
is,
like Dante. Where
yeah, when you're in a massive like a massive tractor going over large like thousands of acres of land and whatnot, I like trying to do that
you
for
know my
20
feeling.
hours straight.
7 hours would be my max.
Yeah, 20 hours straight, like with the break that you get is somebody literally running up to the side of the combine to climb up there to give you a lunch and jump off and get back in the truck and leave. Like they're
And
literally
usually you don't even.
they're literally
Yeah,
taking
I
your
know.
piss bottle. Okay.
Yeah, no, like I said, not personally, you know me, I'd cap it at 7 hours
Right.
before you had to take it. I mean, like you'd go back and work more, but you have to take a certain X amount of break after because you're
Right.
operating heavy machinery.
Right.
I would treat it like they do, operating the plane tugs or the heavy fucking trucks in the military. After X amount of hours, somebody else drives for a little while, etc.
Right.
That's just because I at that point I'm caring about the worker more than the farm. I don't know if that is cost effective, so that's something you'd have to correct me on.
Mm-hmm.
It might have to be as high as 9, but it couldn't be more than 9 because as you're talking about, the smallest combine for the average hobby farm is going to be what, 7 tons,
Yeah.
6 tons? It's fucking heavy. It's not fucking light.
Yeah.
This is a very, very heavy machine with a very weird turning style.
Yep.
It does not turn like a normal vehicle either.
Yep. So what?
So yeah, like
Yeah.
I would be maxing this out for safety.
Right. Because the thing is that like you could if the companies want to put people in there for 20 hours to work them to the bone, they're at a certain point they're running a risk with their equipment.
And certain corporate farms, like now I'm going to go with the herdsman stuff because I know that best. Like OMP, Tyson for the chicken people, they can afford to eat these losses.
Yeah.
And they do all the time. That's why we've seen like actual drops in quality. Most can't. And that's why we're seeing this consolidation and people like me and Despy going, oh shit, we're about to watch a bunch of people fucking, rope themselves. Because that's something that's far more terrifying to those intergenerational farmers than failure.
Yeah.
Being surrounded by corporate farmers.
Yep.
They'd never be able to compete. They do not have the manpower and hours in the day to do it. It's not possible.
Yep.
Because at that point, even if they do everything right, they lose.
Yeah. The other thing is that like when it comes to operating like the vehicles and whatnot, a lot of times corporate farms they'll always have the top of the line vehicles and do trade-ins. And that's kind of where John Deere makes its money. So if you know the corporate farm every 3 years is going to buy the brand new tractor fresh off the line, and then in 3 years' time, basically resell it so that they could buy the next tractor that's going to be, 3 years down the line, you're going to continue to service that customer.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier. Like I said, I don't particularly think they're intentionally fucking over the little guy. I think once we broke that 51% margin, they followed the market. And then I have to blame capitalism because we did not regulate our capitalism well enough to prevent such fucking issues.
Right. Let's keep going with the video.
Places like yeah. Well, I'm just going to bring this up because most people who are not farm fucking nerds are not going to know this. Certain places like the fucking EU did do stuff to prevent. And you know what? It was 5 paragraphs, people. It wasn't even a lot of legislation. It was 5 paragraphs. Sorry. Go on. Then we could do
You're on the brink.
I'm in the worst shape right now that I've ever been in.
5 of my customers have committed suicide. That's how serious that is.
Without immediate government intervention, we're going to lose 30 to 40% of our farmers again this year. We lost 25 to 30% last year.
Farm debt is expected to reach $560 billion this year, a new record high. Facing pressure from farm states, President Trump has promised a federal aid package for farmers.
And we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, we're going to give it to our farmers.
Over the last 8 years, the federal government has sent farmers over...
Even if Trump's fucking delusional number was real, let's just say we've taken in $1.5 trillion in tariffs, and he did the bailout that he is talking about, we would still be $500 billion more in debt than when we started.
Yeah, well...
Sorry. It's a fucking stupid... Sorry, just people don't do the math.
Now the other thing is that like even if he were to give them the bailout that he was talking about, even if he were to give them the, let's just say $40 billion bailout for the farmers or whatnot, we all know it's not going to be that high because it's going to be means tested to high fucking hell, and then
it needs to be higher, which is the other sad part.
Well, it needs to be higher, but the issue is that even if you give them a bailout, their markets are gone. Like their buyers have already found other suppliers, so now you've basically
you're not wrong on that. But with an appropriate bailout, they could rebuild that kind of relationship, because it is not a relationship they lost on their own. It was a relationship lost by an administration.
Yeah.
It could potentially be fixed. I do not think it is likely, but I do not think it is impossible, like everyone else has been saying, just because it's such a recent break. And you and I both know that if a trade war ends quick enough, they can fucking bounce back to almost near, previous homeostasis within 6 years.
Yeah, but
it can be fixed. I just don't know if it will be.
But here's the thing, let's just say that it's a fresh break that like you're talking about. With how this administration is going about doing on again off again tariffs, it's making buyers skeptical of exactly what they can expect to pay over the course of a year, or over the course of 4 years.
And
it's risky.
And this is why I agree. But if, and this is a big fucking if, the case that's heading to the Supreme Court gets ruled on in the way that we think it will, based on the way that Barrett and Gorsuch have kind of held the line on a few of these, those tariffs will no longer be in the hands of the president to fuck around with like this. And this uncertainty goes. That's why I'm saying, if we can fucking stop the trade war quick enough, and that case goes the way we want it, those are big fucking ifs. But if that happens, this could be a small bump in the road. But if we let this fester, it's fucked.
Yeah.
We'd be bailing them out for the next 20 years.
So the other thing to keep in mind, and when we're talking about like farmers being in debt, is that I think Joe Biden I think it was 2022, around 2022. Basically, what had ended up happening is he had an initiative where if you are going to making your farm more energy efficient, then you could take out a loan, and then the government would back a particular percentage of that loan in order for you to make your farm more energy efficient. Now, Republicans yelled and screamed that this was all about like climate change and whatnot, and this is like putting like solar panels on fucking barns and whatnot. Now, a lot of this, what this was allowing farmers to get like newer equipment that uses less emissions but also uses less fuel at the same time, like fuel like per acreage, and so that they not only saved on fuel
and emissions per acre,
and
so even though the fuel was lower, it was also lower emissions per gallon of fuel as well,
but
which makes the food healthier.
But this also went for things like chicken farmers, where they have like better insulation put into the walls of the barn, so that there's more heat trap. They don't actually have to heat the actual like inside of the barns or whatnot. They don't have to do a lot of the temperature regulation, which also costs a lot of money. Same thing with pigs and cows and and dairy farms and everything else that goes with that. So what ended up happening was a lot of these people took out these loans to get all of these to get the subsidies from the government to reimburse them for what they got. The thing is the second Trump came in, Trump literally said we're not giving anybody any subsidies anymore. Like, we're literally reversing everything immediately after all of these farmers took out these massive loans, expecting the government to expecting the agreement that they had with the government to be honored. So this is why if you look at that last,
not only that,
this is why if you look at that last chart that we just saw with the rates being higher, most of this has to do with those initiatives being put in place.
Well, okay, yes, that and this is I'd say 10% of that increased number is also the spec of how much extra land we have been cultivating over the last 5 years because of these bumper fucking crop numbers, giving these people false senses of security and them aiming for the top end of the market rather than the average of the market, like we talked about earlier.
Yep.
But that's a small percentage of it. It's still enough of it to be enough to talk about, but it is not the primary cause.
Right. A lot of the reason for the amount for the loans has to do with the reimbursement for the subsidies from the government, and the government has been doing this for decades. If I remember correctly, even under the
1960s,
even under the previous Trump administration, they had a similar things that were going out. It was just that because Biden,
if I remember correctly, we've done this every year since fucking LBJ. If I'm remembering correctly, we've been doing this a long fucking time.
The first year where the government basically said, "Yeah, we're not paying you any money on that. We're not honoring our agreement to pay like what is it like 60% of your loan."
My mistake.
Yeah.
Kennedy. we even longer.
Okay.
We've been doing this since before the Cuban Missile Crisis.
All right, I'm going to keep going with the video.
Yeah.
For $130 billion in emergency aid. But when you follow where that money actually goes, it reveals who's really profiting from this system and why more bailouts won't fix it.
So when I get an aid package, okay, that money will never come to me. It comes straight through my hands into whoever I owe the money to.
When federal money is sent to farmers who have debts, like Adam, Scott, and most small farmers, they quickly pass it on to the companies they borrowed from to buy the products they need to farm, like seed, fertilizer, and machinery. And the combined costs of those inputs have risen far faster than what farmers can sell their crops for on the market. Farmers pay 3 times.
How hard how hard would it be, because I know the crop still exists, how much extra work would it be to collect seed as well as harvest so that you could reseed from your own? Because I know we used to do that. I just don't remember. I don't know the percentage of extra work it is.
So, if I remember correctly, this practice hasn't been done since like the '60s, if I'm not mistaken.
Since the 90s.
No.
90s, but it's
No, like if I'm not mistaken, there was regulation put in the '70s under what is it like on what is it like having to go through seed suppliers, if I'm not mistaken, because my dad would
I'll look that up later because I don't want to detract from it.
Yeah, my dad would talk about this constantly because his father would do exactly what you're talking about here, even though he was doing Power Square with all of his farming. That's exactly how he did all of his fields. And if you don't know what Power Square is, if you've ever looked basically down a field and you see the rows, if you could actually look down the field and see straight, like directly in front of you like this, and see a completely straight row, and then if you look at an angle, like a 45-degree angle, and you can see another straight row, that farmer is using what's called Power Square. And that's basically the points in which that they're putting the plants in are in like a literal square, so that each individual thing, it's
grid it.
You basically grid the entire field with with a particular set of inches apart. It's not effective with current seeding practices, but this is exactly how they did it before to get the best bumper crop without all the genetic modifications and everything that they've done with the seeds since then. But the main thing is that
I have to, like I said, I don't want to detract too much with the thing about the seed banks, because if that's true, we need to refix that, because I can't think that work would be too significant to where you still have to buy fertilizer, you still have to do all the other stuff, but if we could get that one expense out of the hair, it might be enough to save the industry away from corpo farmers.
Yeah, well, the main issue with the whole thing is that basically in the 1970s, that's when the genetic modification, like the actual like lab work genetic modification of seeds started. And once that started, they started putting those seeds, out to be, they basically created what like Monsanto, Cargill, and Pioneer have basically become, where you can only go through them to get seeds. Because what ended up happening is that the farmers would stop using the Power Square method that my grandfather would use, because it would no longer get the highest yield possible. So in order to get the seeds that would give them the highest yield, they'd have to go through somebody like Pioneer, or they'd have to go through something like Cargill or Agco or all these other companies in order to get those specific seeds that could grow for that higher yield. And then over time, everybody shifted to those seeds, and those companies made it so that you couldn't reuse your own seeds anymore, and you had to buy their seeds in order for it for you to grow as a farmer. If that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll go into I was listening. I was just also reading, because this is that Monsanto shit we were talking about before, in the 70s. But, and I will just mention it, I will not detract onto it. This is the thing I was talking about in the 90s. While we no longer do the practice, we did pass the International Union of Protection of New Variety of Plants, which allows you to do brown bagging. So technically, we can do it again. Seed saving, brown bagging.
Yeah.
But it allows you to do it again, even under intellectual property laws of WTO members, with certain rare exceptions. One of the few exceptions of that being corn, soy, and all the others not on the list. Just so you know.
That's
So technically they could do it if they wanted to, so I don't know why they don't. We'd have to get into that later, and I don't want to derail from the video onto that because that will be a deep dive.
In all honesty, if I'm just going to speculate and spitballing here, I would say that practice has missed too many generations.
It may have, but that's my point. It's going to take us a deep dive to know, because 1991, it's been long enough for that infrastructure to rebuild. So either A, we lost it, like you're describing. B, it's being suppressed by the corpos, not impossible.
Yeah.
Or C, it is no longer cost effective for one reason or another. And like I said, we won't be able to figure out which one it is without fucking 2 hours of digging at least.
It could also be that, the corpos are actually taking, and when they're genetically modifying the seeds, they're only allowing one grow cycle with the seed. Like the seed is literally designed to grow one grow cycle, and then it doesn't grow afterwards. Like whatever you harvest from that doesn't grow.
And that would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that you and I both know that you and I could break that with a single cross-pollination. One grow cycle, we could get rid of that. Yeah. And you and I both know that. So, like, if that is all that's holding it back, that does not make sense to me. It seems like there would have to be more, because one hybridization cycle and we get rid of that problem. At least more than likely. 2 hybridization cycles almost guaranteed.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's that? 9 months of growing season for 2 cycles.
9 months. 9 months seems
for corn.
I'm trying to.
Or would we get 3 out of that?
April, put it in April, May, take it out October, November.
Oh, so we'd actually have to do 2 years. Okay. I thought we had this corn growing faster than that, like the old maize used to.
Well,
I wonder why we slowed it down. Never mind. We're gonna derail.
Yeah.
We're gonna derail if we get onto that. We're too much of nerds. We need to nope. Yeah. This is us getting off into fucking Catholic shit during Dante.
What has gotten us to this point is the mergers and consolidations of ag input suppliers. In 2015, Monsanto and Bayer merged. They were competing against each other.
Yeah.
And that was during Obama's administration. They didn't do a thing about that. They let it happen.
Hold on.
They let it happen.
You can't blame Obama for that. They merged in fucking Germany, asshole. You can't blame Obama for that.
You know something? I can.
No, I can't. I have to blame the fucking German government for that. I can't blame Obama for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here's the thing: is like, I can't blame Obama for the merger of those 2 companies, but I can blame Obama for not doing a fucking thing after they did.
Oh no! I can blame him for all kinds. I just can't blame him for that one.
Right.
This is where they merged.
When I started farming,
the guy
we had
thrown in prison. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
5 or 6 Arkansas-based seed companies. Monsanto, there's none. They're all owned by Bayer or Pioneer.
In the last 40 years,
there's
thousands of seed companies have merged into 3.
We still have
46 fertilizer firms have merged.
Orchards are a little different. So,
yeah, I know, but I wanted to mention it. It's just nothing he would use.
A lot of
we
time,
do still have one.
Yeah, the one of the main reasons why orchards are different is because when it comes to orchards, depending on the region that the seeds come from, can determine like slight differences in how the actual fruit is going to be produced. A lot of
minor subspecies,
right?
Yeah,
a lot of times with these kind of seeds, like you're talking about with soybeans and corn, they're designed to do one thing and one thing only.
No, I agree. I was just pointing out that may be why we still have the one that we do, but we do still have one in our. I just wanted to be accurate because we're covering my state.
Right.
To 4, and just 2 farm machinery companies dominate the markets for tractors and combines.
That's true.
Just for easy numbers. Say I'm going to make $500 an acre gross on an acre of whatever. Well, those companies know that, and they will price their stuff up to like $490. The lack of competition is the reason they can keep those prices inflated, and there's nothing we can do about it.
That ability to raise prices is a big part of why, while farmers are just breaking even, major input companies maintain steadily high profit margins.
Yeah.
I'm calling whatever the heck is happening in the world of agriculture a bull market of insane proportions.
They're going to push us up to the brink, and then when they tip us over the edge, they're going to go to the taxpayer for the balance. Instead of lowering their prices and taking a cut in their margin, they're just laundering tax money.
Okay, I will do a slight distinction there. They're not laundering tax money. They're wealth extracting the working class.
No, they're not even wealth extracting the working class. It's not even wealth extraction.
It is. It's both. This is why I want to point this out. Because him being more right-leaning, he is not focusing on this portion. But he literally just described wealth extraction of the middle class. If I'm going to make $500 on this acre of field, they know that, and they price it up to like $400. That is quite literally wealth extraction they're doing.
I get that, but the thing is what he was talking about is when they get the government subsidies, it's literally just him handing money to somebody else.
Well, and I agree. That's the other portion of this, and that's part of the problem. But this is also part of the issue. We could regulate this portion away. This portion, we're not going to stop the debt thing because, unfortunately, you and I both know the banking system, without it collapsing, the shit doesn't stop the train that it's on.
Right.
But we could prevent the wealth extraction of them gouging them so sufficiently like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That is something we could regulate out. And that is why I focus on that, because that is a problem we could solve, whereas the banking, I don't know how to solve that without a banking collapse, and a banking collapse hurts more people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know how to fix that without hurting more people, and therefore I don't want that, but we can fix this.
All right. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. Yep.
This is it.
Right.
That's the old elementary school. All the schools are closed now, but that's what's left of the elementary school.
That's not.
High school's completely gone. They demolished it.
Yeah.
Had parts stores, restaurants. Even just in my lifetime, we've lost a lot. This was a furniture store, bank.
Yep.
Even when I go back home,
when I was a kid,
like this.
cotton plant probably had 15 or 1,600 people in it. The difference is, when I was a kid, there was probably 40 or 50 farmers around here. Well, now there's just like 4 or 5 of us left. And every time one of them goes out of business, that's less business for the parts store, that's less business for the restaurants. So every time consolidation happens, rural America dies a little bit more.
Since 1997, the U.S. has lost over 300,000 farms and now has fewer farms than ever in its history. In a functioning market,
All right, so...
Okay, small correction. We have less farms. We are still actually farming more land. Because they didn't point that out.
So when I was saying that discs are hardly ever used and whatnot, what I'm saying is discs are hardly ever used on farmland that's already got stuff that's growing on it. When you're creating new farmland like they're doing here, and they're literally overturning everything inside there, you can tell that this is converted land, because you can see the giant sticks and roots and everything literally sticking out of the ground inside.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at the fucking size of that fucking river rock in the middle.
Right.
Of the field over there. It's like they just started prepping.
Right.
This.
So they're gonna go through this here with probably some. Well, they plowed it once. They may plow it again, and then.
Oh God, I would hope so. That looks like shit.
Yeah. No. But what I was saying is that once they've got it to a point where they've literally dragged it, because they might actually run like a rake over the top of it. and try to rake out all like the big stuff, because then they'll run discs over it, and what discs will do is discs will basically flatten everything out, so it'll be like one flat surface.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask, because I was making sure I remember correctly that you were talking about the disc cultivator.
Right.
Because what that does, for those of you in the audience who've never seen one of these things work, that essentially does the mini rows, like when you see them driving around in a bunch of circles and it looks like a bunch of mini itty-bitty rows that wouldn't be big enough for the plants. That's disc cultivating.
Yep.
Then they do the digger, which does the row cultivation.
Yep.
And that changes where those piles are because of the way the digger, or seed driller operates, then creates the rows that we are more traditionally used to, which are what, 32 inches apart?
Yeah, except for now,
I forget. It's the size of a wheel.
Except for now with modern farming practices, they don't actually plow anymore. So the only time you ever see plow is when like land plowed like this here in this image here is when they're converting like prairie land, new land into farmland. That's the only time you ever see anything plowed anymore.
And that's why I wanted to point out that yes, we have less farms now than ever before, but those less farms technically are farming more farmland.
Yeah.
We are growing more with less farmers, and that's not a good thing for any of you fucking efficiency nerds who just said, oh, why is that a bad... That's a really bad thing. Yeah. Because that means that's 300 farms that control our entire fucking food supply.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you go back to, like, the 90s and 80s, and you're just back that far, and you look at, like, the average family farm, the number of acres that they actually, like, had for a family farm, you would see between like 150 to 1,000 would be somewhere within that range. Would be like 1,000 being on like the very, very large end. The average probably being between 350 and 500.
Yeah. And now the average, if I remember correctly, due to the corporal consolidation, is 12,000.
12
I could be misremembering.
For corporate, yes, not for family. For corporate, yes.
Come on, Barbie, is that?
For family, for your family farmer now, it's between like 1.5 to 3,000 acres, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, but we have to delineate. That's why I said the average is up to 12,000 because of the corpos, and therefore making the average hobby farmer, family farmer, a non-competitive.
So if you're looking at somebody who...
That was why I brought it.
Yeah. If you're looking at somebody that basically has had the same family farm with no changes, no buys, no sells or anything that they've had since like the 80s, like, and let's say that their family had it for generations and whatnot, even if that is like 350 to 500 acres, that's considered a hobby farm in modern day. So the farm that I grew up on in 2025 would be considered a tiny hobby farm.
Yeah, you would be what I and most actual ag nerds would call a subsistence farm.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
and I don't mean that as an insult, because if you had wanted to, and we did not live under capitalism, you could have essentially lived off your land, quote unquote.
Yeah, no, that'd have been super easy.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep going.
And that's why I say you were, yeah. That would be this is for the audience, because you know that non-farm nerds don't.
Yeah.
With high input costs could just raise their selling prices. But on the selling side, they're getting squeezed just as hard by their buyers, the companies that control the global grain trade.
Yep.
There's really about 4 big grain companies.
Ben Lilliston is a farm and trade policy analyst who's looked at the influence of big grain companies like Cargill, Bunge, and Archer Daniels Midland.
These 4 big grain companies control almost 80.
Pardon?
I thought it was 6. I wonder what 2 merged with the others.
Frontier?
I'd have to look up because I don't remember the names of all of them. I just could have swore it used to be 6.
Yeah. Might have been Frontier.
And I didn't see Frontier on there, so yeah, they were definitely gone. I just wonder what the other one was.
Yeah.
8%
Because
of the market
Cargill,
in the
Adams,
U.S. and
ADM
in
were all there.
Yeah. Pioneer.
many regions of the country, there's only 1 or 2 of them. Farmers are relatively weak players in the system, price takers in economic terms, meaning they have to take the price that the grain company offers.
We cannot negotiate with a buyer like ADM or Cargill and say, no, $10 isn't good enough. I'll give you my soybeans for 12. They'll just go, well, okay, get out, go on then. We have leverage against nobody. We are under monopoly rule on the input and the output side.
The global grain companies buy crops from farmers, often below cost, and turn them into processed food.
Pioneer gone too, because that's LDF. Oh Jesus!
No, Pioneer's still there. They had Pioneer in one of the previous slides that they had. So Pioneer's still around.
Okay, I was. Damn, then what's the other one that's gone?
Animal feed and biofuels.
I said Frontier.
They want as much product on the market as they possibly can get. They don't want any limitations, and they want to pay prices as cheap as they possibly can when they're buying corn or soy or whatever.
For decades, they've lobbied for free trade deals that allow them to move crops across borders without cost, claiming this will benefit American farmers.
We think trade, whether it be NAFTA or elsewhere, is a good thing. And the American agricultural economy has benefited significantly since NAFTA was put in place.
It's been sold to farmers that we're going to control global markets and this is going to lift prices for you and make it very profitable for you. Unfortunately, that hasn't actually worked. It's actually been a race to the bottom.
American farmers now find themselves...
You don't say a race to the bottom.
Yeah, but I'm going to put a minor correction on this. It is a race to the bottom on profit margin.
Yeah.
It has raised prices as promised. They are just not getting that profit.
Yeah.
That is the issue. So it technically they delivered on their promise, but this goes into that wealth extraction portion I'm talking about, the part that we can regulate out. And that's why I want to point it out, because this is the thing we can solve, people. I don't know how many people watch this, but we don't put out enough videos recently because of real life shit. But if you see this is one of the things we can solve. Even under American true blue fucking American exceptionalism standards, we can solve this. We don't have to do socialism to solve this.
Yeah.
We just have to do normal regulations to solve this.
Yeah, let's put this into perspective so you can understand this by using a lemonade stand. Okay?
Please.
Let's say that you're operating a lemonade stand to hand out drinks, and the drinks are $1 per lemonade. Just make it simple. You're only allowed to buy lemons and water for the lemonade and sugar directly from one grocer in the area. That's it. It's the only person you're allowed to buy them from. And the only place you're allowed to sell said lemonade is to the convenience store, which buys your lemonade. You can't sell it to the supermarket. You can't sell it to, the post office. You can't sell it to, the restaurant. You can't sell it to any of those people because the convenience store is going to turn around and sell that lemonade for you to all of those other people in town. Now, the convenience store that's going to be buying your lemonade knows exactly how much the lemons and water cost from the grocer that you're going to get. So they know that if it costs you 75 cents to buy the lemons and water and whatnot, then they're going to ask for 24 cents. Basically, it's going to be of 24 cents of cost that you're going to have to give basically to them, giving yourself a penny just because you can't trade your lemonade with anybody else around you.
Yeah, and now here's the regulatory solve to this. You can even leave the monopoly. You can even, I'm having trouble saying this. You can even leave the monopolies in place and regulate price gouging laws into effect to prevent this.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this on certain other forms of grocery in the past. I will point to the 60s and 70s when we did this.
Yep.
This is something that can be done, even leaving the crony capitalist monopoly pieces of shit where they are. This is something that can be solved.
Yeah.
All we have to do is follow the EU example or the fucking Asia example. Both have solved this problem.
Yep.
Under capitalism. We're not even talking socialist fucking answers here. We don't even have to go to that extreme.
Yep.
And if you actually knew me as a person, you would know how much it's hurting me in my non-existent soul to say this. We can solve this without having to go that far.
I could tell you almost needed a bucket there when you said monopoly.
Yeah. Well, because it's just like, I am as anti-capitalist as it comes. But even, I know we can't get rid of it quickly. So, let's just, under capitalism, as it exists today, let's just put a regulation in place that prevents them from doing this.
Yeah.
To say, you can make a fair profit margin, but you have to allow a fair profit margin of your middleman.
Yep.
It's not even hard. Like I said, in the EU, it was 5 fucking paragraphs.
Yeah.
In a bill of like 58 pages. It was 5 paragraphs and they fixed it. In Asia, in like China, I think it was 4 pages of their new capitalist laws. In Japan, what was it? 3.5 pages of your vertical characters, because you guys solved it in the 1800s.
Well, yeah, but I will say that they have been fucking with that within the last 15 years. So.
Well, I'm not saying they haven't fucked with it, but you have still solved this to a point where you aren't facing these problems, and you solved it with less pages of fucking text, even in your.
We're facing some of the same problems with rice. What is it currently with that?
But that's because of your population boom overextending your land.
No. We have a rice we have a rice scarcity, like where like the amount of production of rice in Japan is like at like 95% of what it should be. And the amount of money the farmers are getting for the rice is not reflecting that scarcity in like a supply and demand market.
Well, that's because you're thinking supply and demand only internally. Because unfortunately globalized markets, if I remember correctly, you're actually buying rice from Arkansas. I know it goes to China. I don't remember if it goes to Japan.
Let's put it this way. The Japanese laws on the books right now says that they're only allowed to buy that once the Japanese rice, like from the Japanese farmers, is used up. And it usually, and to be fair, in the last like 3 years, we've had this problem where there hasn't been enough rice produced by Japanese farmers that they've had to buy imported rice from Korea, China, and Arkansas as well. But before that,
I was right.
It was almost a 1-to-1 for quite a while.
Well, no, that part I know. What I was getting at though is it was, and I think you cut me off before the finishing. It is the population boom outpacing your land, and the loss of all your family farms, your intergenerational family farms. Because corporate rice farmers do not create the same yield as family rice farmers who know their land like the back of their hand.
Right.
They produce okay stuff, but not the same yield quantities.
Right.
So this is where this is coming in. And that's all I was getting at. You still, quote unquote, protect your markets. The problem is now, because of the globalized market, they wait until all that's sold out or bought up, but then they could still use that extra 5% or 10%, whatever it ends up being now, to strong arm the 95%, because but we can just wait until all your stuff is gone or starts to rot and you have to sell it to us at a better price, and then we'll make up the difference here.
Yeah.
It's still a strong arm tactic. And that's the new regulation that you would need, that we technically have in place with NAFTA, but we don't have the anti-price gouging laws that you guys have to marry it to.
Right.
So you guys need the part we have, and we need the part you have.
Yeah. All right.
Essentially.
In competition with farmers in Argentina and Brazil to sell their soybeans. For many years, China was their biggest.
I mean, depending on how you feel,
Trump's trade wars
I'm good to go. You know,
China
3 hours of
has
sleep,
pivoted to
I'm
South
good
America.
for the next 3
That's
days.
been bad for U.S. farmers, but not for the global grain companies like Cargill, which is among the biggest agricultural exporters in Argentina and Brazil.
Their interest is very different than a national interest like the United States, our interest, or even a community level interest.
So far, the Trump administration has not followed through this year with an aid package for farmers. But in October, Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced that the U.S. would extend a $40 billion financial lifeline to prop up Argentina and its government led by Javier Milei.
I mean, we bailed out my competition. I mean, they're my competition. And we sent taxpayer dollars to them like it was no big deal, and
we bailed out a fucking fascist.
Milei is big buddies with our current administration.
He's an ANCAP.
No, he's not. He's a fucking president of a country. He's not a goddamn ANCAP. He's a fucking fascist. He's literally the president of the country that is still protecting fucking the last remaining living Nazis. Like, come on. I know they're in their 90s now, but for fuck's sake, this is the country that has been protecting them since the 40s.
Biggest investors in Argentina are big buddies with Bessent. I mean, they worked together for years.
Bessent, a former hedge fund manager, owns thousands of acres of U.S. farmland, from which he has earned around $1 million a year.
China has been boycotting American soybeans. Do you see a real light at the end of the tunnel there?
Well, Martha, in case you don't know it, I'm actually a soybean farmer.
I'm not going to blame the film editor for fucking that up.
I have felt this pain too.
When Trump and Scott Bessent say, we're for the farmers, we love the farmers, I'd say same thing that my papa and everybody's always told me. Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. It's that simple. What have they done to help us at all?
Trump's Justice and Agriculture departments recently announced...
And this is where I do have to correct him. Where they have protected you, the one thing I actually have to give this piece of shit administration, they protected you on diesel costs.
Yep.
Which, as my Despy friend here will tell you, is about 30% of an overall cost of a farm.
It is.
So he did protect him in one way, but when you fuck him in the other 66%, fuck you, buddy.
And for all of you out there thinking that you can just switch over to biodiesel, well, you can. The only people that can switch over to biodiesel are those that live below, like the Oklahoma border. Those are basically the only.
Well, no, you could do it if you. Here's the thing, you could do it if you are willing to sacrifice a quarter of your acreage to the production of it, and you live within 100 miles of a major city to get as much of the fucking used cooking oil as you would need to do so.
Yeah.
It is not easy. It is very space inefficient. It is possible, but you will instantly be cutting into your cost because of how much land it takes
It is
up.
also extremely
So-
labor intensive.
They've pretty much, with our Raspberry Pi system, you could do this shit for real cheap and automate the fuck out of it now. But you still have to be within a certain range, or else you're spending more to go get the oil than you are to fucking make it. It just doesn't make sense after a certain range.
Yeah.
Like, just because I can automate shit doesn't mean I can get the cost down too much.
Right.
A joint investigation into high input costs and the relationship to corporate consolidation of the farm economy. But it's just the latest in over a decade of similar federal investigations that have failed to stop mergers or break up existing monopolies.
The first thing we need to address is no competition. Because when there's no competition, I have no option, and I have to take whatever these people are willing to give me.
This is
If
true.
the Trump administration responds to
But
this
he snuck
crisis
one
with
in
another
there
toothless
more
antitrust
perfect. I wanna
investigation,
smack the
another farm
editor
bailout, and another
They
Band-Aid deal with
put
China,
chicken in with
nothing
agriculture.
will fundamentally
It's
change
not the
for
same.
American farmers.
It's not the same.
We're probably
It's
going to have to
different
break
shit.
up those companies. And I think that's the larger story. Is this really
Yeah,
a
good luck
resilient
taking
farm
on
system?
Bayer.
Or should we be thinking
World
differently
War
about
II
maybe
and
not
fucking them
overproducing
participating
so
in the
much for
Holocaust
export
couldn't break that
and start to
fucking
think
company up.
about producing more food that Americans actually eat and diversifying what people produce? We used to have more of a supply management system, but we've gotten rid of that.
Supply management is the name for policies that establish price floors for important crops so that farmers don't have to fear operating at a loss year after year.
Give us a price floor, which makes us performance-based. So if you guarantee me $12.50 a bushel for my beans, it costs $11.50 to raise them. You've guaranteed me $1 a profit on the bushels, right? Then it's on me to go do the work. I go make the bushels so that I increase my profit. Would that not make more sense? Would that not kind of end the bailout program if you had a floor?
But the big ag companies
No.
hate this.
No,
but it
because
would
they
help.
want us beholden to them.
Cargill.
It would help.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
and
solve it,
ADM
but it would help.
is forced to pay farmers fairly in the market versus taxpayers having to subsidize.
One study found that a supply management system could have saved taxpayers nearly $100 billion in farm aid payments over 2 decades. Instead, that money largely flowed through farmers to some of the world's largest corporations.
We need to think about what's best for farmers, what's best for rural communities, the workers in the system, and consumers. And right now we have a system that's what's best for global grain companies, global meat companies, and the input suppliers.
Okay. 2 things. One, editor, this one I will smack you for, because the chicken industry is a whole different fucking animal, no pun intended, and we have a whole different fucking set of issues with that.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing. Doesn't operate under the same fucking legislation.
Yep. I know.
And 2, I have to minorly correct them, and I hate that I have to do this. It's not just benefiting the global grain companies. It has also lowered the world starvation rate by 3.5%. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but to put that into perspective, that's 285 million lives a year overall, like when you factor in like the times, like that is a metric fuck ton of people, because we have been saving this for a very, very long time. If we do conservative estimates, the low end of the estimates, we have saved 500 million lives.
Yeah.
That's the low end. That's a big thing. For anybody in our audience who's ever been fucking hungry or ever watched a fucking child starve, you know how important that shit is.
Yep.
And some of the stuff we're giving away, no American would eat. Like that fucking peanut pulp we give these fucking starving kids in Africa. No American would fucking eat that. Not because it's horrible,
I'd
it's
probably
because
eat
it's essentially it has almost no flavor, because
know.
we're basically Yeah, but the thing is the reason it has almost no flavor is we're feeding it to somebody who has not had food potentially on a regular basis ever, and potentially in days.
Yeah.
Their stomachs literally cannot handle full food at first. We have to work them up to it. And this is stuff we don't even feed babies.
Yeah,
this is stuff we only feed people in these kind of situations of malnutrition.
They call that syndrome refeeding syndrome. Refeeding syndrome is something that's actually like you'll notice a lot of people that go on fast, and when I say fast, not like fast for like a day or 2 days or whatnot. People
Hunger
that go,
fasts and shit like that. Yeah.
When you go for a longer fast, it's like 5 days to a week, maybe longer. You'll run into what's called refeeding syndrome, and refeeding syndrome is where after you've basically had nothing for a long period of time, you then go to eat again, and if you take too large of portions, it can throw your body into shock, and you could actually have a heart attack from it.
Well, and I'll point to a very famous case. Now, overall, this case is a complete scam. But this one particular thing was actually evidenced by doctors in the time. There's a particular case of a guy named Caspar Hauser. He arrived, I think, in Germany. It was Germany or Austria, some German-speaking place. Basically with a note saying that he had been, his family had died and his caretaker no longer wanted to care for him, blah, 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 blah. But the way this kid acted, he was a teenager, but he acted like a small child. And he could only eat bread and water. And when they tried to feed him meat, he would physically go into seizures and vomit. And like he could not handle the food for like almost a year.
Yep.
It took him almost a year before he could finally eat something beside bread and water. So they actually believe, well, the rest of this guy's life ended up being a scam because they believed he sought after the attention that from his initial upbringing, that had achieved for him. But they do believe his childhood was spent living in a dungeon with no windows, eating only bread and water, and only knowing the voice of his captor, never even seeing the man's face. They actually believe that part to be true because of the refeeding syndrome that he experienced upon his discovery.
Yeah.
So like this is one from history where we have this as evidence going back to, I think he was the 1700s, if not it was the 1800s. It was a long fucking time ago, where we have shown this even before we even understood like nutrition and all that on a really good level, that if you only eat one thing or don't eat anything at all for a very long time, your stomach will stop working for other shit at first.
Yep. Anyway,
so like, yeah,
I think
we got another one.
No, I think this is a good place for me to stop for tonight. We've got about 2 hours in, and
I was about to say, but we normally go for like another hour, so that's why I was going to say if the other video is short.
I'm tired, man. I really am.
I understand. That's why, but I was saying if the other video is short, what are the other two videos?
When have we ever had a short video? Trust me.
Well, no, I mean the actual length of the video, because that was about 2 hours on 30 minutes. So if this is like 10 minutes,
I'm just gonna call it here for right now, and then we might be able to do something in the future with one of the videos, but I'm gonna call it for like right now because it's almost midnight here, and I got to get up for Aikido.
No, I understand. But like I said, that's why I asked, because like that one was like 32 minutes or something like that. And it took us 2 hours. This one was like 10.
This one is a 15-minute video. The one we just did.
I swore that was longer.
No, that's a 15.
Maybe
that's a 15-minute video.
I could have swore they released a longer one then well.
This one's 13 minutes and 35 seconds.
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying I could have swore that they released a longer one because I could have swore I saw that dude's face on a 32-minute video because I didn't watch it because I knew we were going to be talking about it in the future. I was like, okay, I'll watch that when we get to it. And then
so
I haven't heard from Rich and all that. But yeah, all right.
Gotta hop off. Talk to you later.
Now
man.
I'm just confused. Yep. And to all those of you in the audience, until next time, this is FOFA News. I'm Jack.
And I'm Despy, and we'll catch you later.